Доброго ранку всім! Ми продовжуємо навчальний курс «Муніципальні партнерства для європейської інтеграції від Cities for Cities», який створений в рамках програми Polaris «Підтримка багаторівневого врядування в Україні». Мене звати Марта Супрун, я є експерткою з євроінтеграції на місцевому рівні і продовжую разом з вами дізнаватися більше про європейську інтеграцію і про ту роль, яку в цьому процесі мають відіграти українські громади. Цей тиждень у нас практичний. Знову матимемо практичний кейс від наших найближчих сусідів. Сьогодні до нас доєднується сіті-менеджер Риги Яніс Ланге. Трошки будемо разом з ним дізнаватися про досвід декарбонізації міста Риги, також про те, як міста і громади загалом в Європейському Союзі працюють з темою кліматичної нейтральності та декарбонізації, але, звичайно, будемо розкривати цю тему не лише з точки зору зобов'язань, але і також практичних вигод, які можуть отримати громади і мешканці у цьому процесі, цікавому і насиченому процесі європейської інтеграції. Ми продовжимо нашу розмову з Янісом англійською мовою, тому хочу нагадати вам, що в нас доступна функція синхронного перекладу. Будь ласка, під'єднайте українську мову на нижній панелі інструментів, якщо не почуваєтеся впевнено. А ми продовжуємо. Welcome, Yanis, to the training course of Cities for Cities. You have a very interesting position in the city of Riga, which is city manager, something not very common in the Ukrainian system of local governance. What do you practically do in Riga, and what are you in charge of?
Good morning, everybody. I think that's a normal system. You know, it's always political power. They are decision makers, and city manager is responsible for implementation part. Yeah, so it means all administration is under me, and so at the same time, I'm responsible for all problems. All successes go to politicians. All problems comes to me. So that's normal way how it works everywhere.
Today we are learning from your experience. I think many Ukrainian mayors would like to have such a position in their municipality, and I'm sure that we will learn a lot today from your experience. So I will ask for the presentation, and we have it now, and we are talking today about also not only climate neutrality, but also the structure in which you manage these projects dedicated to energy efficiency, climate neutrality, right? So the floor is yours now.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Beginning with, I would like to express my respect to all municipalities in Ukraine for the resilience, persistence, and hard work you are doing. And everywhere it's the same. Municipalities are always the closest to the people and to the problems. My today's story is not about Riga being better. Today I will share what Ukrainian municipalities can learn from Riga's experience. I will focus on practical lessons from planning, funding, and implementation. The key message is that successful European Union integration at city level depends on systems, not only funding access. The presentation has three main parts and the final lessons learned section. First, I will cover Riga's experience with European Union integration and strategic planning. Second, I will show how European Union policy is translated into energy and climate action. And third, I will present concrete project examples. So let me begin with part number one, European Union integration through strategic planning and preparation. This section explains the foundations that made Riga's later project pipeline possible. So I always start with current situation in city. In this slide, you see that Riga this year will celebrate its 825th anniversary. Riga is a city with different identities, waterfronts, wooden architecture, modern housing blocks, a lot of Soviet time housing blocks, and art new streets. This diversity is a core strength to be protected and activated. Our biggest problem in Latvia right now is the demography. You can see also in slide that newborns in last 3 years has reduced by more than 20%. And I can say that in Riga, we are, of course, Latvia's capital city, the biggest city in Latvia, with a number of inhabitants close to 600,000. 3% of Riga's inhabitants are Ukrainians. And since beginning of the war, there are in Riga's job market, there are more 10,000 Ukrainians and approximately 4,000 kids are studying in Riga's schools. Please, next slide. Yeah, Riga's European Union funding journey dealt in stages. First stage was pre-accession stage. It was from year 1991 when we regained independence from Soviet Union to year 2004 when we joined European Union. And this first phase was focused on capacity building and pilot projects. Second phase, early membership, it's from year 2004 till year 2013. It's a phase when was rapid absorption, learning by doing, and third phase when we call it mature phase. So when we have more strategic approach and integrated investments. The lesson is that systems improve through iteration and experience. Next slide.
Yanis, I would like to ask you the question now, since Ukraine is now in this first stage, and you could definitely remember the experience of being in our place, let's say, and you mentioned that this was the phase for capacity building and for pilot projects. This is actually really very relevant for Ukraine today. Could you please specify a bit, like what exactly you did to increase these capacities, and what were the main pilot projects you implemented to increase this capacity?
Yeah, I remember from my first European Union project, it was 20 years ago, it was beginning of year 2003, something like that. It was, yeah, as I mentioned, 20 years ago, there was lack of skills, lack of experience, and that was only normal that we start with smaller projects. So we build internal capacity, internal knowledge, and that helps us to understand how those projects work and also improve English skills. Yeah, because for people who work with European projects and with partners from other countries, these language skills are essential. So, yeah, in beginning we actively participated in European Union PAR program projects, and those projects helped us to improve urban planning, transport systems, and environmental management, and what is very important, also municipal information systems. So it was like training period. Yeah, we started with smaller projects. Yeah, so again, step by step, and that's normal. Yeah, so Again, so the lesson is that systems improve through iteration and experience. Yeah, before discussing funding instruments, it is necessary to understand the planning architecture that guides investments. And I will say that many times, before funding, always comes strategy. So let's start with some planning hierarchy. Riga's planning is embedded in a wider system. You can see first is global level. We are talking about 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. After is European level. There is European Green Deal till year 2015. There is European Union Strategic Agenda till year 2029. Then there is regional level. In our case, we are talking about European Union strategy for the Baltic Sea region. And after that is Latvian National Development Strategy. And then it's Riga Sustainable Development Strategy. What does it mean? That city plans are always aligned with European agenda, national development plans, and local strategies. So local documents sit inside a multi-level planning system. So this helps ensure consistency between policy goals and investment choices.
Thank
Next
you, Yanis.
slide, please.
Thank you, Yanis. Also, during this course, we heard from the officials from DG Regio that European Union is currently in the phase of planning the new multi-annual financial framework after 2027. And well, it seems like it's in 2 years, but actually the preparation is already now. The discussion in the European Parliament is ongoing. How you as the city react to these changes? How you incorporate these future priorities of European Union in your strategic planning already now? If you in principle do that, actually.
Yeah, we understand that this planning period comes to the end in year 2027, so we are preparing for a new period. We don't know what will be in Europe, what will be with European funds, but overall, the key elements in preparing for next programming period include early engagement with our ministries, with European Union institutions, and it's very important that we have clear prioritization from our side, what we want to achieve, what are our strategical goals. And again, active communication with stakeholders and timely project preparation and development. It's in summary what we are doing right now in Riga. We are waiting for next period and already trying to prepare and lobbying what we want to achieve in next period. So this slide shows you Riga's long-term umbrella for strategy till year 2030. It links successive development programs in one coherent direction. Our sustainable development strategy crystallizes 4 long-term objectives. First one is comfortable, safe, and pleasant urban environment. Second is skillful, secure, and active society. Third, an innovative, open economy. And Riga as a competitive Northern European metropolitan. The development program translates long-term strategy into sector priorities, and our development program synchronize day-to-day actions with our long-term goals. So those priorities, those programs include mobility, environment, governance, education, competitiveness. We prioritize high impact sectors. And what is important that for every program, we have key performance indicators, what we want to achieve till year 2027. So the key principle is simple. Again, funding follows strategy, not the other way around. So good strategy is not enough without a strong institutional setup. Please go to the next slide. Inside municipality, there must be dedicated units and procedures. Even a strong strategy fails without administrative capacity and clear governance. Now I will show how governance and project preparation support delivery. So there you can see institutional framework for the implementation of European Union funds. In Latvia, managing authority for European funds is Ministry of Finance, who is responsible for planning European Union funds, monitoring, partnership principle, cross-sector coordination, and communication. And then next, there is this intermediate body, state agency. We call it the Central Finance and Contracting Agency. And only then there are beneficiaries, municipalities, businesses, non-government organizations, state institutions, and others. So European funds in Latvia are managed through a clear national structure with defined responsibilities. And municipalities succeed when they build strong internal capacity inside that framework. So dedicated European Union project units, financial staff, procurement, expertise are essential. So administrative capacity is a major success factor. Please, yeah. So projects are selected through a structured process based on regulations and call procedures. Some calls are open, while others are restricted. So there are cabinet regulations, which defines a specific support measure, and the Central Finance and Contracting Agency prepares the project selection documentation. So well-prepared and mature projects are much more likely to be approved. So the project life cycle starts long before submission and continues well after implementation. It includes planning. In planning period, there is guidelines for applicants, eligibility rules, evaluation criteria. Then is application phase. So in that, there is some time for application, and we as a organization who fulfill those guidelines, we describe project objectives, budget and financing plan, implementation schedule, and risk assessment. And then there is implementation phase. It always starts with procurements of goods or services, construction or development of activities, and delivery of outputs or results. And nothing ends with that phase, because after every project there is monitoring phase. There is first level control on the spot, checks, and audit for project cycle. Obligations to maintain project results for the next 5 years for every European funding project, or even the entire depreciation period. So
I would,
practical, yeah.
yes, I would like us to stop here and like discuss a little bit about this preparatory stage in implementing projects. I had the experience of making an application for a EU-funded project myself, and it surprised me how much time you actually need to prepare a good quality application. In your case, like, of course, projects are different, but what's the optimal time you need to dedicate to prepare a good project? If it's in line with your strategy and the strategy this of the city and aligned with your European strategies.
It depends. Normally, preparation for project proposal, it can take between 1 to 3 months. But of course, for infrastructure projects, the most difficult and time-consuming part is technical preparation. Sometimes it takes a year or even more. So I can say that main factor, so it's preparedness. To be competitive in open calls, projects must have a high level of technical readiness. In most cases, that means having a completed construction design, and from first project idea to a fully prepared project with design and financing, the process can take up to 3 years. So it's not fast, unfortunately.
Thank you. We also had yesterday the lecturer from Romania, and she said that the first thing that I've learned about doing EU projects is that they have to be beautiful. Would you agree with that? That you also need to think about aesthetics, about incorporating different European approaches into your infrastructure, let's say, project to be more competitive, let's say.
I can't comment about beautiful, but I can say that in every project proposal, you need clear project goals. And this is most important from our experience.
Thank you for this reflection.
Okay, so let's continue. I don't know which slide, probably number 14, about practical considerations. So every project must align with European Union national and local policy priorities. Compliance is equally important. Procurement, state aid, environmental rules, and horizontal principles as sustainability, accessibility, gender equality, and non-discrimination. Good documentation and audit readiness should be built in from the top. So also strong projects need strong administrative and financial capacity and also technical capacity. Financial capacity means that project requires strong internal financial management and control, and also you must think about co-financing rates, because those rates vary depending on program rules and the development level of participating countries. So also technical expertise is also critical, especially for complex investment projects. Now I move from planning and institutions to the funding landscape itself. The question is not only how to access funds, but how to match projects to the right programs. So I would start with the role of European Union programs in city development. Please, can you switch to next? So European Union programs help cities implement their development priorities. They reduce pressure on local budgets and support economic and social development. They also raise management standards and create access to knowledge and innovation. European Union's funding mechanism. Next slide. Cities can use many different European Union instruments depending on project type and objective. These include cohesion funds, regional development funds, Interreg, Life, Horizon Europe, and others. I won't list them all. You see them. There are not all of them, just the ones Riga has worked with. The key is to understand which instrument fits with which kind of project. European Union investment priorities are the bridge between European Union policy and local implementation. Please, next slide. They cover a smarter Europe. It means innovative and smart economic transformation, development of research and skills, support to entrepreneurship and digitalization. It means greener Europe, climate neutrality, adaptation to climate change, and environmental protection, a more connected Europe, development of safe, sustainable, and accessible transport and digital connections, more social Europe, equal opportunities and access to education, healthcare and labor market, fair working conditions, social protection and inclusion, and a Europe closer to citizens, sustainable and balanced regional development, and transition to climate neutrality, investing in social and environmental mitigation in most affected regions. So municipal project pipelines should be designed around these priorities. So now it's time for part 2. I turn to energy and climate action planning in Riga, and this shows how European Union priorities become local actions and investment plans. Riga's climate action is guided by several connected documents, not one standalone plan. The development program, Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan, and Climate City Contract each play a different role. First is Riga's development program that ensures coordinated action on institutions via monitoring system and progress reporting. Actions financed via investment plan. Then it's Riga's Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan. This is main document outlining sectoral targets and action lines. The targets are incorporated in the development program. And Riga's Climate City Contract for participation in the European Union Net Zero Cities mission is document with higher ambition and investment goals. It's already on European Union level coordination and implementation, not legally binding. Next slide about legal basis for Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan. Our plan is based on European Union Covenant of Mayors framework. Riga joined this initiative in year 2008 and has worked on climate action for many years. By 2020, 60% of greenhouse gas reduction had been achieved compared to year 1990. SECAP sets this Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plans sets sectoral targets and action lines up to year 2030. It defines measurable reduction pathways and translates ambition into an action framework. It covers 7 directions and includes climate neutrality ambitions for municipal infrastructure. This is the main operational climate planning document for the city. Next slide about progress, implementation progress. The vision is broad, but implementation depends on many actors beyond the municipality. Progress by year 2024 was a 6.7% greenhouse gas reduction compared to year 2019. The target for year 2030 is 30%, so implementation must now accelerate in Riga. Emissions by sector. The biggest emissions source are transport and buildings. Municipal infrastructure contributes only a small share of total city emissions. That means the city must influence wider urban systems, not only its own assets. So it means we must work more with transport system, how to reduce emissions from transport sector. So we have big challenges ahead. We would like to implement low emission zone in Riga, but it's not easy because we need political decisions and it is not always easy to get them. Next slide about leadership. In every city we need some leader organization, and in Riga we create Riga Energy Agency, which is the main municipal body for energy and climate coordination. It supports planning, monitoring, building renovation, public engagement, and circular economy actions. It also acts as a practical delivery platform, not just a policy body. So how is municipal energy and climate planning related to the European Union national level goals? So, of course, municipal climate planning is connected to local level, so local law on local governments. There is written that every municipality must facilitate climate change, mitigation, and adaptation. There is also national level, Latvia's National Energy and Climate Plan. It includes many measures with local implementation, but no territorially binding reduction goals for municipalities. Then there is European Union legislation, Clean Energy Package, and European Union funds, Cohesion Program, Resilience, Recovery Facility, and Modernization Fund. This is a key to climate action and local project implementation, integral part of Riga investment plan. So this is clear example of multi-level governance in practice.
Thank you, Yanis. From what we hear now, it seems to be lots of obligations on the city administration. But is there something positive in all those hard work you need to do on the way to achieve climate neutrality? Results. Always results is the best part, yeah? And it's easier to work with infrastructure projects. It's easier to work with some green projects where you see some physical investments, how they look in nature, how they look in on our streets, and that's probably the best part in every project, that you can say that yes, I was a part of that program, I was a part of that team, and we implement that, and always satisfaction level from society grows up after every project like that. I will also encourage our participants to placed their questions to Janis Lange, to our lecturer, in the chat, and I will voice them and try to interfere in the presentation with a remark or question which you put in the chat. Thank you. So coming back to more obligations of Riga besides the action plan. The next slide.
Yeah, so Riga's commitment beyond this plan. So we has gone beyond that plan through European mission for climate neutral and smart cities. In previous year, in year 2025, Riga adopted a climate city contract and received the European Union mission label, and this raised the city's ambition from 30 to 53% reduction versus year 2019. So climate neutrality target in this context means at least 80% greenhouse gas reduction compared to year 1990. For Riga, this equals about 53% reduction compared to year 2019 by year 2030. So most of that reduction must come from transport sector and energy related sectors. So why climate neutrality matters? Climate neutrality is not only an environmental goal. It is also about energy security. It's also about lower costs, better health, cleaner air, and economic opportunity. It supports a more livable city with better public space and less car dependence. So we want streets where traffic slows down and life speeds up, where cyclists and pedestrians reclaim space and the city center becomes a place to live, not just pass through. Participatory process and cooperation. Riga used cooperation to build consensus around its climate city contract. This included internal consultations among Riga municipal departments, municipal service providers, also sector workshops, scenario work, and stakeholder validation. It's also important that there was political validation. This contract has been signed by the political and administrative leaders. The mayor of Riga signed that contract, the head of Environmental and Housing Committee of Riga City Council, and me as the executive director of Riga, I also signed that contract. So, sectoral fields of action. Next slide. And that slide shows action areas for municipal infrastructure and energy production. Municipal infrastructure aims at deep decarbonization of city assets. So Riga's goal is to achieve complete decarbonization of energy use in municipal infrastructure by year 2030. So energy production has a larger citywide effect through district heating and related changes. So Riga's priority is phase out of fossil fuels and efficiency measures in Riga district heating and decentralized systems. Sectoral fields of action. Here we focus on apartment buildings and transport. Transport and mobility deliver the largest share of total reduction. So Riga's goal is to reorganize the car-centric mobility system and speed up electrification. So we have 9 fields of action: urban planning, mobility hubs, remote work and online services, cycling and walking infrastructure, public transport, restriction on private cars. I mentioned this low emission zone that will be a challenge for Riga, reduce private car use, promote electrification, clean technologies, mobility data, and more. Next slide, waste and circular economy. 9% of Riga's greenhouse gas emissions come from the waste sector. So data record systems, waste prevention, scale up waste sorting, waste collection, infrastructure, waste recycling, circular economy action plan, integrated wastewater management, information and awareness. So waste has a smaller emission share, but circularity matters for long-term sustainability. And also greening and adoption improve resilience and urban quality of life. So there are 8 fields of action: forest management, research on CO2 sequestration, knowledge exchange, emission calculation system, forest certification, forestry risk assessment, recultivation of peat bogs, and Riga's urban greening plan. So
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yanis. We have a bunch of questions here in the chat, which I want to voice immediately, because it's better always to put the questions straight after the lecturer says something. Yeah, and we have here the question about could you please share your experience with the work with citizens of a municipality with regard to decarbonization and shortening the emissions by private transport. Who was involved? What was the actions that were successful, and what mistakes would you advise to avoid? So you mentioned that this bigger share of city emissions are basically mostly out of control of municipalities because they come from private property, citizens, private property, transport, housing. How do you deal with that, and what are the lessons learned?
So there are still many challenges because there is no low emission zone implemented yet. But previous year, 2 years ago, we organized a Riga Climate Assembly with randomly selected residents over 5 full days. There were approximately 40 residents, and participants learned from experts, and they together prepared for us 41 recommendation, and this is part of Riga's plan. So it's not always easy, but better is always involve citizens in planning process. Yeah. So this is deliberative democracy in action. So policy with people, not just for people. So my advice is always involve people, because in the beginning they're always against everything. But in process, if we prove that that's good for their future, that will improve their life quality, that helps.
Thank you, Yanis. And just another question that we have in the chat is that obviously we do not have big investments in Ukraine now for multiple reasons, and we don't have big expert teams in municipalities so far when it comes to energy efficiency and climate neutrality. But this scope of work which you describe is just immense. Given this limited resources, what would be your advice? How shall Ukrainian municipalities start with some small but efficient steps in this area?
It's important always to start. The time there are more than 30 years of experience. When we start to work with European funds, and all those climate issues are, I would say, the last 10 years are more popular than it was before. It's always important to start with low-hanging fruits. For example, change lighting bulbs in schools, in municipal areas. Start with solar panels, maybe. I don't know. Start with some reduction of inefficient energy consumption points. There is no universal advice. You must start with something, and during the process, you will find what is the best for your municipality, for your entity. Because, Latvia's or Riga's case, I can say that we were dependent on Russia's gas for many years. And now we understand how dependent on that we were, and what it was absolutely not normal situation. And those who depend more of that, for them, it's more painful situation, because if they're not prepared for other sources, they pay more. So always try to diversify your energy sources. And it's the same with everything else.
Thank you, Yanis. Just another question before we move forward in your presentation. Thank you to our participants for being so active. Could you please name the cases which you, like the projects which you implemented to deal with like old post-Soviet buildings which are really not very energy efficient? I know that there will be some projects examples further on in your presentation, but maybe some general approach which Riga took with regard to these old and not energy efficient post-Soviet buildings.
It's a huge challenge for Riga, because we have more than 10,000 Soviet time multi-apartment buildings, and those buildings are not efficient. And so I can't say that we are a good example. That's interesting. In smaller municipalities, where they have, for example, 50 apartment houses, for them it's easier to prove for society that we must renovate those houses. In Riga, it's not so easy, because people don't know each other so well, like in smaller communities. You don't know each of the neighbor, and to prove that this is the normal process, that we invest in our buildings and that help us save money later, it's not easy. I will show you some examples from municipal buildings that in general, I can't say that we are the best example. There are other municipalities in Latvia which are better. I can say it clearly.
You can mention some of them, and then Ukrainian municipalities will approach these municipalities directly for their expertise.
You can contact me. I can give you some contacts. So Riga started to work with those issues maybe very seriously some 5-7 years ago, and we understand that it takes time. It takes time. So it's not so fast. Especially with prices, we know how costly are renovated the house, and also this uncertainty what is around the world, so that it impacts, for example, bank loans and things like that. So people try to avoid right now, and it's hard to prove them that it's worth.
Thank you for
Thank
you for answering the questions, and I encourage our participants to place more, and I will try to voice all of them, and then we come back to our presentation.
Okay. So can we continue?
Please.
Okay. So question is always about costs. So we know that climate neutrality requires major investment, also in Riga. Right now, around 2.8 billion in total. So largest needs are in transport, energy production, and buildings. but it's normal that everywhere is lack of funding, and only approximately 60% of required funding is included in all investment plans of Riga's development program and municipal companies. So challenge is huge everywhere. So next slide about risks and mindset. There are real barriers everywhere, so limited resources, public expectations and perception. It's not always the same like what is in political agenda, and also weakness is the weak data. So you must do mind that allocate time and allow time to learn and talk and explain, and see climate neutrality not as a sacrifice but as opportunity. That means cleaner air, quieter streets, lower energy bills, inefficient homes, and confidence in the future we leave to our children and grandchildren. So a better future is what the effort it takes to build it. And also international cooperation can help fill knowledge and capacity gaps. So now I move to the part 3 with concrete project examples. These cases show how strategic priorities are translated into actual investments. Let's start with cohesion funded projects under implementation. I will not go through all of them, but you can see under the Smarter Europe, there are some projects. There are projects under Greener Europe projects, civil protection shelters, which is also necessity for us, development of 2 waste sorting collection sites, more connected Europe, there is construction of Ioannis Čakste Avenue, more social Europe, European closer to citizens, and at the moment, approximately 50 projects are in the way in Riga city with total amount of approximately 300 million euros, and that's 20% of our budget. And also, this slide shows the next group of projects in the pipeline. They cover biodiversity, railway station integration, and accessibility improvements. And strong pipeline is essential for continuity and long-term implementation. So our advice is always try to prepare projects for future funding. So some more examples: Speakery, Quarter, and Promenade. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this project transformed a degraded brownfield and riverbank into public and cultural space. It's always big advantage if the city has a river or some waterfront in your city. So yeah, this is like an example of integrated area-based revitalization. Next project is Freezing Cones Neighborhood Parks. This project revitalized parks and surrounding infrastructure in a neighborhood area. It includes accessibility, recreation, public space quality, and local livability. Regeneration is not just about beautification, but accessibility, culture, recreation, and area renewal. Next project is Deglo Street landfill reclamation. This project reclaimed a closed landfill and reduced environmental risks. We transformed the site from an environmentally risky landfill into a safe and usable recreation landscape. It also created a safe and maintained public landscape with recreation value, and it shows how remediation can generate both environmental and urban benefits. Now I move from classic infrastructure projects to operational energy management. This is important because climate action also depends on systems, data, and day-to-day governance. In Riga, we implement energy management system. now we have information about each building which belongs to the city. And we have approximately 300 buildings like that. So we can set day and night heating, set points, minimum, maximum cooling, set points. Also, we can educate our employees. And what is important that if any institution saves their money or their costs, half of that money comes back to that institution as an investment in their needs. Next one is Riga City Climate Program. The climate program supports implementation through targeted municipal spending. It funds emission reduction, adaptation, innovation, and pilot measures. So it reduces energy costs of municipal institutions, also promotes the adaptation of Riga's outdoor space to climate change. And for year 2025, approved actions include lighting upgrades, solar panels on the rooftops, and tree planting. Next slide, so rooftop solar panels on municipal buildings. So Riga is reinvesting energy efficiency savings into those solars on public buildings. This is a practical example of using internal savings to support the further decarbonization. It shows how municipalities can build their own investment cycle over the time. Next slide about one-stop shop for residents. So it's hard to prove that those investments are necessary. So residents need practical support if building renovation is to happen at scale. So the one-stop shop offers consultations, meetings, thermography, and model documentation. This reduces barriers for households and housing communities. We also have special support programs for technical documentation preparations and also for technical audits. Public engagement and awareness. So communication is core implementation tool, not an optional extra. Riga uses events, campaigns, festivals, training, media, and social networks to build awareness. Climate and energy transition require sustained communication, not one-off consultations. Public understanding helps reduce resistance and increase participation. Next slide, our GeoRiga portal. So GeoRiga is a city's geospatial data portal. It makes municipal spatial information accessible and usable for the public and professionals. Data transparency supports better planning and better decisions. If you visit that page, you will see how much information is open for public, information about our investments, information about what kind of communications, where are water pipes, where is sewage system, where is electricity communications, about land plots, about even about places where we plan to plant trees this year, and more and more and more. And also, next slide, also about energy efficiency indicators. This slide highlights the role of building energy indicators. Measurement is necessary to identify priorities and monitor performance. How much energy each house spends, how energy efficient that house is. Without reliable indicators, effective energy planning is much harder. Next.
Well,
Yeah.
Yanis, this really looks impressive for me personally, and I think for many of our participants. I would like to, we obviously now have this very big issue in Ukraine that we really lack data to build our policies on. And I may presume that maybe it was not always so advanced as you show it now in your presentation. How to collect this, how to start collecting this municipal data, which is so important for taking public decisions on local level. What would be your recommendations?
Yeah, so data is also a problem in Riga, or this data culture. So that's only normal process. Yeah. So we started 5 years ago with we asked information from Riga district heating company, and they provide data for every house, and also we receive building data from state land service about how big is each house or home, and what are the geographical parameters of each house. Yeah, so we start to collect, and now we have a system. Yeah, so for example, if you want to buy some apartment in Riga, you can look in that portal and understand, is it energy efficient house or not, and probably how big your bills will be in next winter. So again, step by step.
Thank you. Back to our presentation. You have another project, right?
Yeah, so next project is Agenskalna Priedes quarter. So this is the district scale pilot focused on affordable housing renewal. It is also a practical example of integrated neighborhood transformation. So the pilot area includes 25 multi-apartment buildings and more than 1,100 apartments. Next slide, please. So most of the buildings are managed by the municipal housing company, and this makes it a usable test case for larger scale housing renovation. So we start with baseline. Before intervention, the city established a baseline for the quarter, and baseline assessment is essential for setting priorities and measuring later progress. So the renewal strategy was co-designed with the community. It covers 3 levels: the building, shared spaces, and courtyards, and the wider district. This is about comprehensive renewal, not isolated technical retrofit. So about engagement timeline. Community engagement was continuous and structured over time. It included workshops on development, retrofits, values, future vision, and next steps. Long-term participation builds ownership and makes implementation more realistic. So visual development work. This slide, next one, illustrates the design and planning work behind the district vision. Visual tools help people understand, change, and discuss options more concretely. So future vision. This slide presents the long-term vision for the district. The goal is a better living environment, not only more energy efficient buildings. Physical renewal and social value must go together. So first renovated building in the quarter was completed in the year 2023. And we know that good example is always contagious. And this gives the community a real example of what deep renovation looks like in practice. And early demonstrators are important for confidence, learning, and replication. Next project is Smart Story project. You asked about old buildings. So This is Riga City Council, one of the examples. This project focuses on smart building management in historic public building. It combines heritage constraints with energy performance improvement, and this is a good example of innovation applied to existing municipal assets. Next slide. Work began with technical assessment, certification, digitalization of the building, and system design. And now we have building management systems which require careful preparation and integration, not just equipment purchase. So innovation projects often begin with knowledge building and system mapping. Next example is multi-climate at Riga Central Market. This is another demonstration project in a historic public building. The aim is to improve energy efficiency and climate resilience in a major city landmark. It connects innovation, heritage, and climate policy. So heating and cooling at Riga Central Market. This slide, next one, shows the technical starting point for the market pavilion. Understanding existing heating and cooling systems is necessary before choosing solutions, and good project design starts with real operating conditions. And few more project examples. So separate waste collection sites. Next one, yeah. This project strengthens waste sorting infrastructure for residents. It also includes reuse spaces and public awareness activities. The project links infrastructure, circular economy, and citizen behavior. Next one is riverbank erosion protection. This project addresses climate adaptation through riverbank protection in Gazini neighborhood. It reduces environmental risk and protects vulnerable territory. And adaptation projects are just as important as emissions reduction projects. Next one is biodiversity in Mangali Park. This project supports biodiversity and habitat restoration in protected areas. It includes invasive species control and restoration measures. European funding can support not only infrastructure, but also ecological engagement. Next one is about infrastructure. So low floor tram infrastructure. This project improves tram accessibility and supports greener mobility. It benefits older people, parents with children, and persons with disabilities. It is a strong example of combining climate and inclusion goals. So I now turn to the final section, lessons learned and recommendations. These are the most transferable points for other municipalities. So public support reduce implementation risks. So communication and consultation matter. Observation rate alone is not success. Outcomes and long-term impact matter more. Common problems include weak documentation, fragmented projects, delays, and also political short-termism. Delivery discipline is what turns strategy into results. So my final takeaway is funding must follow the idea, not the other way around. Start early, prepare well, and stay visible at national and European Union levels. Invest in staff skills and learn from peers with similar goals. So plan strategically, implement professionally, and learn continuously. So that's it from my presentation. I'm ready to answer to your questions if you have them. Or just in case, Marta have my contacts, and if you want to ask me something about Latvia's municipalities or Riga's experience, you can contact me through Marta, and we will give you all information what you need, and also we are ready to share our experience, expertise, or connect you with other municipalities in Latvia.
Thank you, Yanis, for this very comprehensive and detailed presentation. We actually do have more questions in the chat, and I also have more questions on my side, so I encourage our participants to still to think of their questions and place them in the chat. Svetlana Kovalchuk is asking, so where could you like access online these strategic documents on climate neutrality of Riga? Are they available? Like how to find them?
Yeah, in Riga's homepage you can find it, or I can send Marta to you, and then you can send this site to the one. Okay.
If you do it today, we could even upload into the cabinet, like learning cabinet on our online platform, and you could easily access it doing your homework after this lecture. So thank you. We also have lots of thanks for your presentation and for your lecture. I really want to shift our conversation a little bit to this international cooperation role in building policies on energy efficiency, climate neutrality, because also Cities for Cities is developing municipal partnerships between Ukrainian and European municipalities, and we believe in this win-win approach when you really have to learn from each other to achieve better results in this and or that area. What was your experience? Like, what were the countries and cities you learned from when you only started to deal with climate neutrality and energy efficiency?
Of course, Nordic countries, they are very advanced and way ahead of us. Yeah, for example, Sweden, Finland, also Germany. Those were first countries to whom we interact, and they give us a lot of their expertise and knowledge. Yeah, so we start with them, or they start with us. Yeah, so I understand that they are way ahead, but again, most important is to start. Yeah, and we are always ready to cooperate with Ukrainian municipalities, and if you have some project proposals, or if we will have some project proposals, I don't know, for Interreg projects or others, I will contact for sure with Marta, Svetlana, and other colleagues from Ukraine.
Thank you, Yanis. You also mentioned in your presentation that innovations are actually important when you deal with climate neutrality, and Ukraine is now eligible for funding under Horizon Europe program, and I also have seen in your slides that some of the projects were supported as part of this program, but it really seems sometimes very complicated for Ukrainian municipalities, because this is research, this is innovation, which does not always, you have this feeling that this is about the municipality, not about some research institution or university or, I don't know, high-tech company. What would be your advice on reaching this particular program, and how to benefit from these innovations that are being developed elsewhere in your municipality?
Yeah, I think the biggest advantage in that program is that it's possible to receive up to 100% funding from that program. So we use those Horizon Europe programs more for pilot projects, so for living lab sites, yeah. So together with universities, together with private companies, as a pilot projects, yeah. So again, most important is to start with something, find partners in universities, or other entities. And when you start to understand that those innovations, they support municipalities and vice versa.
Thank you. Another question is about big infrastructure projects, because energy efficiency especially is something that is very costly, especially when you deal not only with municipal infrastructure, as you mentioned, but you also have to support private sector to achieve these goals and to achieve better standards of living in the cities. All those amounts spent on projects, they really look very impressive for us in Ukraine. We really lack investments in these sectors. So my question is, did you only rely on grant support from European Union, maybe from structural funds, or is it also common to work with European investment institutions to take loans, credits to implement such kind of projects? And how would you assess this correlation between different sources of funding in dealing with energy efficiency and climate neutrality projects?
Of course, European funds have a much greater impact, particularly through grants for energy efficiency and renewable energy in buildings. But we see that those grants is expected to decrease. And European Union's general policy, is that we are more going to those bank financing to the loans. So it's also a challenge for Latvia, for Riga, because if you want to receive loan from the bank, you must prove that this is more or less business project. But in general, European Union is going more to those loans from the banks. So that's general assessment.
Would your advice be then to explore these opportunities and raise capacities to get loans, to be more prepared for the future period, right? Or what would be your main recommendation for Ukrainian municipalities here?
We see that European Investment Bank or Reconstruction and Development Bank, they are interested in projects. So they also offer their technical assistance. So it's possible to contact with them and ask for their technical assistance, because usually it's for free. And they're interested in future projects, together with banks. So for technical expertise, for sure, it's worth to contact them, and then I'm sure they will help.
We have another question in the chat from Olena Ivanova. Thank you for placing these questions in the chat. What is the general budget of the city of Riga, and what share of budget is dedicated to development of the city?
Of course, it's hard to compare, because Riga is the biggest city in Latvia, and with 600,000 inhabitants, and our budget is 1.7 billion euros. But big part goes to education from municipal budget. So and for development, it's approximately 300 millions, no more than 300 millions. So mostly it comes from European funds, and also part is also our investments.
Thank you.
But still, it's too less. We understand that there is so many projects, and there is lack of funding, and that's normal that you always search for additional funding, how to implement your strategy.
Thanks a lot, Yanis, for this very insightful and useful presentation. Thank you for being so open to support also Ukrainian municipalities in finding relevant expertise in Latvia. So we will try to be mediators in such communication if anyone comes up with such requests. Thanks a lot. I will now switch to Ukrainian. Дуже дякуємо всім, хто сьогодні доєднався до навчального курсу «Муніципальні партнерства для європейської інтеграції». Ми вже, можна сказати, перейшли екватор сьогодні, сьогоднішнім навчальним днем у нашій програмі, але попереду ще багато цікавого. Завтра будемо в цій студії вітати Евеліну Грабан з муніципалітету міста Люблін у Польщі. Будемо дізнаватися також про їхній досвід роботи з проектами саме інфраструктурними, які пов'язані з будівництвом транспортної інфраструктури, роботою комунальних підприємств. Це теж така обширна тема, яка стосується місцевого розвитку і впливу євроінтеграції на місцеве самоврядування. Проходьте активно уроки у нашому кабінеті на порталі Академії Cities for Cities. І зустрінемося вже завтра з вами о тій же ж порі. До зустрічі і гарного вам дня попереду.